Hello there, it's Duty Paid, and today we have another typewriter. This is a Hermes 505. Now, this is a, if you can probably see the lead coming out the back, an electric typewriter. Now, electric typewriters have been around since 1909, I believe, and varying different sort of makes and models and sort of styles and sort of technology involved, and sort of last electric typewriters were sort of daisy wheels and fairly sort of simple on the sort of concept, but this one is quite unique. Well, it sort of dates back almost to how they sort of originally started. You have the hammers with the police going past there, if you heard that, and you have the hammers with the typeface on, which is like a manual one. But there's no linkage between the keys and the hammers or the arms. You normally expect a sort of lever arrangement, and then the literal force of pressing down a key would then sort of strike the hammer onto the paper. But what this uses is a motor down one side, and then it's belt driven to a bar that runs across, which constantly spins, and when you press the key down, that does a little switch and sort of engages in the bar on a sort of revolution, and then actuates the system. And the carriage is felt with a sort of slipper clutch, and that does the turn. Now, when I got this, the drive belt was broken, and I had to replace that, and hard to find even any reference for the Hermes 505, let alone getting a replacement belt. So I had to modify a sewing machine tooth belt, which sort of is okay. Now, this machine is getting a little bit old, so it sort of isn't as fresh as it might have been, and it's also a little bit noisy. So what we do is we'll turn this on and check it out. Just flick the power. The power's already on. It has an on and off switch down here. So as you can hear, it's a little bit noisy. Now, this is old and set, so hopefully you can hear me over this. But it's the reason why it sounds like an old electric fan is because it has got a AC induction motor in, which is more commonly found in a electric fan, not more like a sort of DC motor. And nowadays you probably have a brushless motor, which would be even more efficient. Interesting things about this, obviously paper rest up here. It has a little paper guide, so you don't have to use all the carriage, and the carriage has quite a far swing on the it's not too bad when it's center set like that, but the margin, you know, that's almost half the width of the machine, and it, you know, if you're typing in a small area, then it sort of would be a little bit interference, but the platen is still good. So let's feed a bit of paper, go around here. You have normal set, so that's sort of release, and then one space, half, and two. I always like 1.5. Center and set, I believe that's for the tablature. And from the top they have margin release, which is mechanical. The only thing on this net is you have power tab, power back, power return, power shift. For power shift, it uses a drop basket arrangement. So power shift and the old quick, it's a little bit, oh dear, Q-I-C-K. Getting the keys right, you almost have to press them down then wait. I am not the fastest typist in the world, but I can obviously the quick bound fox jumps over the lazy dog, I do type a lot whenever I'm sort of working on the machine. Just to turn it off for a second. And you almost have to press down the key and you have to wait for the hammer, which is practically the same with all mechanical keyboards or mechanical typewriters. But this one you really have to sort of wait. There's no... you have to wait for it to come back as well. It's quite strange. So the quick brown and then the power turn. Woo! So the actual activation force to actually hit the key is not feather light. You know, modern... I did a Brother AX425, which is probably one of the very last... Well, it certainly was the last typewriter made in this country, and practically one of the last electric typewriters. And that was very light. It's almost like a... not a sort of mechanical keyboard, but a sort of just membrane keyboard. You could just, you know, type away very quickly. But this is nice. It's unique. I can't find much reference about it. Half space. It has all the things that a typewriter has, and sort of it hasn't got manual paper feed except for the power return. So sort of type now again, now into red. So there we go. And then return. Now you can return twice and it will return on the line. So that's kind of a mechanical feed, but it will shift the whole carriage one and back again. Sort of tell this is an English machine more, mainly due to the pound and no dollar. And they still insist on the 1/4, 3/4, 1/3 and a half, which, you know, in the modern world, do you really use that, you know? But with typewriters, I've only found reference to this, that it was from probably the late 70s, now really late. You're talking, you know, winter of 78, 79, probably more into the 80s, early 80s, 83, sort of 4-ish. I haven't found any mould dates on the plastic. Sometimes you can find underneath, you can find a sort of mould swirl date, and that literally tells you the actual month and year. A very heavy machine as well. I had to carry this back from East London, and on the train when I picked it up, it cost me 99p this, mainly because you turned it on and nothing happened. It needed that drive belt, which cost me around about £5.50 for that drive belt. So and then the ribbon, I always put a ribbon in, but I do have a test one. The ribbons are unique. A lot of these machines, even though they had manual type, like Smith Corona had a cartridge with sort of an arm coming out one side. Now, unless you find new old stocks of them, no one makes the cartridge for them. But the ribbons are still being made, and these are standard 4-pin group. Oh, can't remember the group of them. But there's pretty well standard. They're not like the huge hole ones for the Olivetti's, which are nice. I've started to clean the machine inside. Some of the hammers have been cleaned, some of it hasn't, and between the letters. But it's had case off, it's had the setting. The setting for the caps was way out. The capital letters were almost like half a line higher than the lowercase. Or, I think the lowercase was too high, one of the two. But no, interesting machine. Hermes 505. I have seen one other picture of 505C, and the pictures I've actually found online of the Hermes 505 electric typewriter, is the eBay listing of where I found this. So I've stuck a new plug on, which is tested the power lead. Power lead is dirty, but that works perfectly fine. The plug was a bit cruddy, so I'll change that. And it's mainly plastic all around. Metal steel frame, no aluminium, which would save a bit of weight, but probably bump the price up back in the day. Nice machine actually. So that's the Hermes 505. We have one last noisy tap. So I can't spell tonight, not to worry. So, a Hermes 505. I probably will list this one when I get around to it. And a nice feature, when it's off, a little carriage manual arm goes and locks that in place. So when I first got it, I couldn't understand why the carriage didn't move. Obviously I hadn't plugged it in, I was testing it beforehand. So, Hermes 505, I'm the duty paid. I hope you enjoyed that. Join me next time when I have another typewriter. Until then, take care and goodbye.